we should remove Hindi. Let me explain. I just wanted to get your attention, that's all. And saying something like that out of nowhere is definitely going to get your attention. See, you didn't even know what I was gonna say, but you were ready to leave some slurs and threats in the comment section. Like, I could have said anything, right? Like, we should remove Hindi from Braille textbooks because people don't use their eyes to read. But see, what I said doesn't even make sense, okay? But I'm sure most of you assume that I was anti-Hindi, and those of you who are pro-Hindi were ready to jump to fight me. And like this, we jump to pick a side before we even form an opinion.
And that's exactly what I want to talk to you about.
Hey everyone, before we talk about people picking sides, why don't you join our side by hitting that subscribe button? That's right, by hitting the subscribe button, you can become a member of the Archive Parliament for the low price of just 0 rupees. Yes, that's what we're calling you guys, the Archive Parliament. And we are the media, so we'll roast you sometimes, but secretly support you until you reach greater heights. So please share this video and subscribe to the Archive. Back to the video. See, it's tough to talk about something like this while still making sense to everybody watching. So we've broken it down to make it easier for you. So first, we'll talk about the history of internal conflict in our country. See, once the Britishers left, we had no one to be angry at. So we switched our attention to, you guessed it, each other. First, in 1916, the Justice Party of South India was formed. This was a significant force in the Madras presidency. They sought to challenge Brahmin dominance in both jobs and education. The second, everybody's favorite, the first anti-Hindi agitation happened in Tamil Nadu. This happened between 1937 to 1940, and it happened when Hindi became mandatory in schools. Then there was the State Reorganization Act of 1956 that redrew states based on the languages that people spoke. And people didn't like that either. After which the second anti-Hindi agitations happened in 1965, and this time the government went back on their ruling while still making English compulsory but not Hindi. Then came the Mandal Commission protests, the rise of Dravidian nationalism and anti-reservation protests, and so many more. See, the point is not to list all the times people have been upset in the past, right? All of these massive protests and conflicts have led to huge loss of life and property, all for fighting your own countrymen. That's the thing, right? It feels like we're only content while we're hating another group of people, regardless of who they might be. Okay. The last 100 years though, we were like a new country and we were adapting to an evolving world, right? Like, what about before that? What about our... Is it any better? Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the Aryan versus Dravidian narrative. British colonial scholars propose the Aryan invasion theory. This theory states that lighter-skinned Indo-Aryans, North Indians, invaded and displaced the darker-skinned Dravidian natives, South Indians. But the British wanted to take over our country, so I don't think we should believe them. But this created a civilizational and racial divide between the national North and the South. Because, of course it did. And this caused significant ripple effects, right? I've heard of North and South symbolism in the Ramayana too. See, Dravidian movement thinkers argue that Rama was a symbol of North Indian hegemony and Ravana was a Dravidian king resisting dominance. Not to make the Ramayana political, but that's a pretty hot take. All this Aryan versus Dravidian thing led to an argument that the Indus Valley civilization was a proto-Dravidian and a non-Aryan civilization. That means Aryan gets no claim of it and Dravid is from there. Naturally, people made this political, while intellectuals often link the Indus Valley civilization to Dravidian roots to claim cultural seniority. Okay, let me be the first to ask, what is cultural seniority? Why are there divisions in our culture and why do you want to be senior over someone else? See, these cultural divisions are something we've made ourselves, right? Because it's like you buy whiskey and you make fun of your friend for drinking it with Coke. It's still alcoholism. And these cultural divisions are further widened by arguments like Bharatanatyam versus Kathak, or Hindustani versus Carnatic, or Shaivism versus Vaishnavism. And apparently these divides are cultural, right? Who made these divides? And how does it matter what culture someone comes from? Learning from past civilizations is for everybody, right? Overall improvement. And speaking of cultural, I didn't even mention the caste system, and that's a whole other skill tree that we didn't even talk about. See, culture is something that evolves over time. So let's look at something that we all actively take a part in. Let's look at caste rules everything around me. This is becoming more and more true as the days go by. But what divide in capitalism is interesting. Rich versus poor, too basic. Corporates versus startups, that's just lame. But lifestyle versus lifestyle, that's where the fun's at. Okay, let's get the obvious one out of the way. In Bangalore, North Indians and South Indians hate each other. Why? I don't know. Maybe because the largest migrant group in our city is Tamilians, or maybe because the 9% that are from North India are so loud with their discontent that 48% of the city that are Kannadigas decided they needed everyone to fight these people. The next one is Tier 1 versus Tier 2 cities. So Tier 2 city folk complain that Tier 1 city folk take up all the jobs and Tier 2 city people face a lot of issues. These smaller town folk face a lot of issues with English proficiency and poor infrastructure, leading them to be unprepared for this sort of life. Then there's internal migrants versus local workers. The problem is that migrants coming in has led to local folk losing their jobs. This is prevalently seen among daily wage workers. This has led to hostile urban environments and rising migrant slums. The next thing is the language part. So English versus non-English. Our tradition has been to hate on Hindi, but our purpose is to hate on English. People who can speak English do well in high-paying corporate jobs, and people who don't speak English just don't do well in that sphere. Clearly, the problem is that we can't work together to find a solution that works for all sides, while corporations and capitalism continue to bleed us dry and just keep getting richer. But despite all this, we've still managed to maintain. See, I know I've been trying to tell you what the situation was, but now let's look at the vibes between all these different people. Okay, when it comes to vibes, right, like I spoke to a lot of Indians and all of them didn't want me to interview them because they had quite offensive takes. But we are ready to present our findings. Yes, not everyone was okay with talking about the things they hate, because the things they'll say about the things they hate is so problematic, but they won't stop hating that thing. See, but the prevalent opinion hasn't been in either side's favor. So both sides don't like either side, but nobody's willing to budge. Everyone wants the other person to adjust, but nobody's willing to meet halfway. These are not everybody's opinions, but it is the most repeated inference I gather from talking to people. But what North Indians and South Indians fail to see is that they have a lot in common. Both of them judge another person before they even start a conversation with them, all based on how they look and the language they speak. But that's just one example. These opinions change over time with the environment you're in and with experiences that you face. Although one thing that won't change is asking people to be respectful in India is offensive for some reason. See, people find it easier to find groups and stick to these groups because of similar upbringings or values or whatever it may be. So, to understand this better, let's take a look at back to why people like to form groups. This is relevant for kids who go to school and to people who go to leave their parents in old age homes. Humans have an inherent need to be part of a group. Like, it just has to happen, right? So people have studied this, and here are some theories that they presented. The first is social contract theory. This theory suggests that individuals give up certain freedoms in order to be part of a collective. Like, it says that human beings are driven by the need for safety, cooperation, and order. And this you find in a structured society. So essentially, you give up part of yourself to live in a society. The second is collective consciousness. So this theory describes the shared values, beliefs, and moral attitudes that unite a group. This shared identity gives people a strong sense of belonging and makes them believe they are part of something bigger than themselves. Meaning, your belief system gives you like a purpose in life. Next is social identity theory. This theory posits that people derive a certain sense of self-worth from being part of a collective. Meaning that being part of this group is a huge part of your identity. But these are just theories. Theory is meant to think. So try and derive some meaning from it and try to pick one that works for you. But the ironic thing is, once you pick something that works for you, there are going to be groups of people that belong to one of these three answers. But what do I know? I'm just an imaginary person on your phone. I might have an answer to all of this. All the fighting, the arguments, the nonsensical superiority claims. I might have an answer to all that's plaguing the Indians and what's causing them to fight with each other so much. So here is the I don't have one. See, all these theories, they indicate a natural human inclination for human beings to be part of a group. So I can't ask you not to do groupism like some school teacher. And history is cruel, and cruel things have happened to you or your family or the people who share the same caste or faith or gender or whatever. And I won't ask you to forgive that. I'm sorry, but the only thing I can offer you is we should be better. That's my suggestion. all of us should be better as individuals so we can affect the collective. So the next time you see something casteist or racist or sexist or anything like that, stand up and say something. You should say something. I know in the past we haven't said anything because a lot of times the people doing these things are family members, older people that we see doing these things. But now you need to stand up and say something. Ultimately, you need to say something. Because if you don't, no one will. And if you do, you might inspire others to do the same. That's it. Thank you for watching.